Okay. Hello, everyone. We are back with yet another episode of Computer Vision Talks and celebrating our birthday in collaboration with IEEE Society of MSIT and ACM chapter of Shivnadar University. We have with us Shravan, and we're going to talk a lot about scholarships for research internships during undergrad, doing publications during your undergrad years, and then getting placed and whatnot. How are you, Shravan?
Hi Shambhavi, I'm great. First of all, congratulations on completing a year. It's a great achievement.
Thanks.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah. And how are you doing?
I'm great too. So, shall we jump on the questions? I have a long list.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And
Okay.
a disclaimer, like this is the first time I'm doing. So if
Yeah,
I
that's okay.
say something more or less, please do inform me. Yeah.
That's okay. That's completely fine. Right. So, what plans did you have for your future when you started with your college?
Okay. So when I joined, so I completed my engineering from IIT Varanasi. So initially when I joined there, like I wanted to do something in electronics engineering. So I was extremely passionate about chips, robotics, nanotechnology, all those. So I thought in the while taking up this course that I'll be this is the closest thing that I can do to get into these fields. So that is why I took electronics engineering. So I was so persistent to such an extent that if you see my JOSA list, so you will never find not even a single computer science listed in the whole list. So there were only electronics engineering or electrical from different institutes. So that time I was like quite interested into this thing because yeah, that is why that was the idea when I initially joined. What
I,
I would do.
I get it. Why such a disinterest in computer science, though?
Sorry.
Why such a disinterest in computer science?
Yeah, so I had done some CS in 10th and till 12th, and I did not like it that much. So
Yeah.
I was in ICSE, so I did a bit of Java, and in 11th and 12th we had some C++ along with other concepts. So it felt a bit boring when compared to physics and like physics, etc. So that is why I was not that interested into it. Besides that, you hear people telling software engineering job 9 to 5 working, all those things. So
Right.
I think that was the time when I thought that not I'm not that interested in being in front of computer and typing something for the whole day. So I think that was the reason why I did not like that computer science that much.
I see. So, when was the first time you explored coding on your own?
So yeah, this is an interesting thing. So in first year we are allocated rooms on the basis of our names. So
Right.
my roommate he was from computer science.
Right.
So during his orientation his seniors told him a lot about starting with code forces, hacker rank, all those things, learn DSA algo and all. And he used to come and tell me that, and his friends used to come into the room and talk. So initially I started because of that motivation, you can say, that my roommate was CS used to do, and so I also started. And besides that, there were some events which I participated, and I talked to some of the people I knew, and they said, even if you are doing electronics, C++ and Python are something that will help you throughout your life. So do learn them. So that is how these are the two reasons how I got into programming in the first semester.
What events when you were saying that you participated in some
uh,
event?
so yeah, like the first event of our college was something called as a startup weekend,
Yeah.
where we had to devise some new idea and propose it. So in that event they had told that we have to bring a demo to our idea also. like,
Yeah.
like everybody's idea has a website, right? So we were told to do a website. So that is the when, like, I didn't know anything about website, HTML, etc. So that is the time when I spoke to some people I knew, like my cousins, etc., who are software engineers, and they said you need to do this, that. So and they told me, okay, learn this, learn that. So that is the event I'm talking about.
I get it. So, fast forward to 4 years later, and today you have publications in Calling, which is a prestigious conference in the domain of NLP and AI. I would like to know, how did AI happen?
So AI was one out of the many things I was doing. So in first year, as I was programming, so I started to get more interest into the field because our college has a very good programming culture. and they exposed us to a lot of fields in computer science, taught us about a lot of things in computer science in the first semester itself. So so I started getting a lot of interest into the field, and I started studying ML. Some of my friends were doing courses in native eng and all, so I started doing that. Um, Hello, am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah, yeah. Your internet is a bit lagging. Yes. Okay. So I guess your internet has some issues. But yeah, I read in the
Am
comment
I audible?
section. Yeah, you're audible.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I was saying.
No, yes, the screen is still stuck. Okay. Take your time to switch the connections. No worries. So in the comment section, there's a comment that the question
Yeah.
the guy was waiting for. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to try switching your internet on and off, maybe, Sean? Okay, till Shravan has his connection back, please feel free to post all your getting started with AI, DSA in ML, and questions like that. Because today we are going to talk about all. As I started my journey with AI, I had lots of doubts. Shall I do DSA? How much DSA should I cover? And all the stuff like that. Maths in AI, and what are the opportunities that exist in the domain for the undergraduate students? All of those questions were some of the doubts that I had during my undergrad years, and we'll have Shravan ask all the Shravan answer all the questions. Yeah, I'm adding him to the stream back. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Shravan. Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. So I think the last what I was telling earlier was that in first semester, because we had a lot of workshops, etc.,
Hmm.
organized by the clubs in our college. I started doing courses in AI, specifically anti-bias courses.
Your
And
voice is breaking a little. Can you readjust your mic? You had lots of workshops in your college, right?
yeah, I had we had quite a few workshops in our college, and during that time, like I and a few friends of mine started going into this Andrew Wenges course. So basically, we were in exploration mode. So I was doing a lot of things that time, and while doing this, yeah, that is how I started in AI. So after that, I started participated in a few competitions in the first year itself, and I got some good results. I won in a few, etc. So that gave further motivation, and yeah, so that is how everything began, I would say.
So, because you're talking so much about the competitions and workshops and developing things into a website, the next question that I have is that since the start of your ML journey, were you more focused on the research side or the development and production side for ML?
No, when I started, I was not interested in both. So it was like the proper way would be that I didn't know about both. So I started because it was one of the things I found interesting. So I just started working on it. So I didn't know like the gravity of the thing which I was doing, nor so it was fun and interesting. That is why I did. And machine learning was one of the many things I did. So in first year, I also was in robotics.
Hmm.
Like I tried acting also, but that didn't work out well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, a Madrasi accent in North India doesn't work, I guess.
Right.
So yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I tried that also. So I was trying a lot of things, and this was one among those.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't say that I was interested in any of the part. It was much later that I actually found that okay, solving problems is fun in machine learning. So let us pursue this. Yeah.
So, your interest was result driven. Wherever you got better
Uh,
results, you switched to that domain.
so the initial motivation was because it was new. The motivation continued because for two reasons: because it was interesting, and it was like very complex, and there were a lot of interesting problems, and also because I got good results from that. And secondly, when you are the only, like, one of the few guys doing, and other people come and tell you like, oh, you are doing machine learning, what is that, and all, it feels good. So I would say that was also the motivator, so other people coming and seeing you as someone special. So yeah, initially in the first year all these things happened, and those were the main motivations for
Mm-hmm.
me to stick to ML and continue with it.
Right. So, before we move forward to discuss your internships, would you like to share some quick resources that helped you in picking up with the domain of AI?
Yeah, when I started with AI, it was like there is a holy grail for AI everywhere, the course, and revenge is Coursera's machine learning course. So I started with that. Like, I could not complete that. I almost completed it fully, but it was too after some point I did not feel that kick in that. So yeah, I did that course, and after that I started deep learning for I think deeplearning.ai. They have 5 courses in that. So that
Right.
is the thing I initially began with. So I would say that like, that is not the whole picture of AI, but I would say that if for beginners who want hands-on approach, I don't know if there are better courses now, because I have not been in touch with in that side for a long time. But I started with those things, so they were more practical, and they were fun and interesting at that time.
Right.
Besides that, I would say I participated in competitions in first year. So that was, like, I think the main reason that I liked machine learning, because I got to apply it somewhere. So, and I got results, and I even won in some one in a few. So I think that would be one of the main things that made me keep going. So I would tell everyone that reading courses, doing things is all good, but try something practical also, hands on also. So, and hands on in machine learning is Kaggle. So go
Right.
there. Doesn't matter what your rank is, or how well you do, but just go there and submit some things. Like, when you get a ranking, you'll be very happy, so that would motivate you further. So yeah, and lastly, so as I said earlier, our college conducts a lot of workshops. So we had one summer camp called CSOC. It's COPS Summer of Code. So our the programming club in our college is known as CROPS, Club of Programmers. So they conduct a workshop where they provide materials every week, and they provide assignments every week. So during the summers I used to do that. So, and to be clear, that that is not only for the students of IIT BHU. So any of you can just go to their webpage, and even you
So,
can try those out.
Shravan,
Yeah.
is this a promotion from the ex-secretary of Fox?
No, it can be considered a promotion, but I highly recommend that, because when you have some dedicated tasks to do, and dedicated deadlines, and some guy who is like extremely experienced writing some resources for you, I think that is good, because in today's world, like, we have like millions of resources available online. So you just Google machine learning, so many things come, but you don't know what to do, what to actually focus on. So if
Right.
I'm not only saying for this, if you find anywhere, any place where they have some dedicated resources curated, then if you follow that, that would be much more productive than just
Right.
randomly going and sorting through things, which I
Right.
did when I started. Yeah.
Right. So there are a lot of questions in the comment section, but I would ask all of you to stay tuned. We'll be taking all your questions after the first half of the talk, where we are discussing introductions. So since you said that you were not really into research or into product, but there's one question that all of us face, that are we reading enough research papers? So my question would be that did you ever indulge into the habit of reading papers? How was the experience with reading research papers as well? Were you also as blank as I or any of people like me were when we were starting with the paper reading thing?
Yeah, so I started reading research papers very early. So I started reading the papers in second semester itself. So as soon as I read about something and I found it fascinating, I just went and searched for research paper. And to be very honest, initially it was very hard. So the first research paper I read was, I think it was on Adam Optimizer.
Okay.
So like, I couldn't understand it at all. So I took a week or 10 days, I guess, to just to understand, get a brief intuition of it. So in the beginning, so I would say that reading research papers is really good, because you understand the entire author's perspective of things, is motivation method, like how we did it, everything. And it should be a habit for a good researcher to read research papers, to find new things about the field. So but initially it's very difficult, but gradually, when you keep reading, you get habituated to it. So
Okay.
initially, but yeah, how much ever you get habituated, I would suggest that you read the research paper multiple times over multiple passes, because you will recognize that even though you understand something in just one pass, the more you read it, the more new things come.
Right.
So
Right.
that is why even today I read a research paper like 4 or 5 times, if I'm doing some, if I have to read something. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's jump on to internship experiences now. What was the first internship you had?
The first internship I did was in a lab called Stochastic Systems Laboratory in IISc. I got into the lab through a scholarship called as IAS SRPF. So
Hmm.
it's Indian Academy of Sciences Summer Research Fellowship. So they
Hmm.
organize this scholarship every year, and
Okay.
you get like, they connect you with the relevant professors, and
Is it
they
more?
provide you money also.
Okay.
Yeah, you get 25,000 a month, I guess. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know about it now, but when I did it, you got 25,000
Okay. Okay.
for 2 months, I guess. Yeah.
So how did you come to know about IAS SRFP?
Yeah, that was through seniors. So some of my seniors had applied to the internship earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talked to them, they just told, apply कर दे, लेकिन
Mm-hmm.
CGPA पे डिपेंड करता है काफी, तो देख लेना. So they
Right.
told like this. So that is why, like, I thought, okay, I'll apply it anyway, because yeah, they had all applied. Yeah.
Hmm. Right, right, right. So, what do you think are the key pointers that you made that made your application outstanding? Don't tell me
So
it's
yeah,
the point that will hurt me most.
yeah. So the thing is that in these fellowships, especially since these are in India, like
Hmm.
hundreds of thousands of people apply.
Right.
So naturally, we'll need a filter to eliminate a few of those. So, and that is where having a good CGPA comes into picture. So nobody expects you to have 10,
Hmm.
but having a good enough CGPA will help you a lot. I'm not saying that there are a lot of people who got into the internships even if they had less CGPA, but
Hmm.
having a good one is also always a plus point. But
Hmm.
the thing that helps the most in IISSRPF are two things. One is a letter of recommendation. I
Okay.
don't know how relevant it is, but yeah, you need to have a letter of recommendation. That is the toughest part in second year, because you haven't worked on a lot of projects in second year. So going to a prof for a letter of recommendation may be difficult.
One
Second thing
question
is,
then.
yeah.
I'm sorry. You can straight away jump to the next point after this one. Um, what is an ideal letter of recommendation? One coming from a really good prof who has a great background, or one which is pointing out your abilities very specifically?
uh, it's a mixture of both, but I would tend towards the second more,
Mm-hmm.
because in a letter of recommendation, what I would like to see is how well the person is from a third perspective, not from
Right.
you, but from a different person who you have worked with. So if he's very reputed, it's really great. But if he's really reputed and he gives a general recommendation like, this person has worked under me, is good, that is not useful. Many institutes don't even regard it as a good
Right.
letter of recommendation. So I would say personalized recommendation helps much more. I would weigh in on that. So I would want somebody to give me a personal recommendation where he highlights what are my good qualities, what are my bad qualities, because that is what one looks in a letter of recommendation.
Right.
Yeah.
We can jump to the second point.
Yeah, so as I was continuing, in IAS SRPF, one thing that is most important is your SOP. So you get to write a 400 or 200 word SOP, where you have to mention what field are you interested in, and what have you done till now in that field. So based on this, they pair you up with professors or labs. So if you write this wrongly, or if you write something that you haven't done, so then your application may just go get rejected.
Right.
So when you are doing SRFP, all aside, make sure that you give a lot of time to this part where you write your SOP and you
Right.
write properly. So I had written about my projects and interest in NLP and RL. So that
Right.
is why I got paired with the RL lab. So the lab which I worked in was an RL lab. So
Coming to the
that is how it
lab,
works. Yeah.
how was your experience working under a research mentor, and did you manage to have a publication out of your work?
Yeah, so IISc was a great place. So I would highly recommend people to try to go there, because one thing is that people are really intellectual. So Like my mentor knew, I wouldn't say everything, but much more than what I knew, which is which is like expected. But the way he answered your questions, the way he answered your doubts, the way he clarified them, just showed how expert he was. And that is not only with him, but in general in IISc. Secondly, like they are very humble. So if my mentor didn't know something, he gladly accepted and heard from us. So like we were in such good contact that we are even collaborating now, many a times.
That's
So
great.
that was how great the lab was. Plus, yeah, there was a lot of freedom there. So we were given some options in the projects. So I had a project on smart grids. So
Hmm.
the basic, in short, the topic was that we have few energy producing grids which work on renewable energy, and we have to design an algorithm that will help to optimally distribute this energy among the customers and sell also. So yeah, it was an RL based problem. We decided to tackle it using RL. But yeah, besides that, yeah, like they used to clarify everything very well, and they asked to pick a project, and then they gave you the freedom to propose ideas. They listened and helped you wherever you are wrong. So I found that openness and freedom really really nice. And that was one of the reasons that I got why I got motivated to pursue research further, uh,
Right.
I guess. Yeah.
So you pursued research after this also. Where did you do your second internship?
So yeah, my second internship was in University of Hamburg. It was called there is a lab called Language Technology Lab. So I
Okay.
did that. I got that through DAAD WISE. Um, yeah.
So, how did it, yeah, like the favorite question. What do you think were the key ingredients to a successful application for that advice scholarship?
So yeah, DAAD WISE is a bit different from other scholarships. So other scholarship wants you to fill an application form, write or select professors or etc. But DAAD WISE wants you to get the approval of the professor whom you are going to work under.
Okay.
So first step in DAAD WISE is to mail professors and
Hmm.
get their approval.
Hmm.
And once you get your approval, 80% of your work is done. So you have like greater than 50% chance of getting selected, because very less people manage to get an approval from professor, because there are limited labs and
How
all.
did you manage it?
So yeah, the so I used so what I did was, after IISc's internship, I knew that I wasn't going to sit for internships because I wanted to pursue research. So, and I knew about DAAD WISE from second year itself, from seniors as well as through my own research, that okay, there are these scholarships. So I made a list first of all the professors whom I wanted to apply under, who I saw as potential mentors, future mentors. So how did I look for them? So first thing in any scholarship is to see whether they have already taken interns before. So if they have, then you can be sure that next time also they are going to take interns. So when
Right.
I shortlisted my some few labs, I saw that these labs had taken interns. Plus,
Hmm.
I knew some labs that had taken intern from our own college.
Hmm.
So I first saw that, and I saw that okay, they are doing NLP, and they're like they do something that I like. So it was an intersection of these both, and I shortlisted a few. So this method works really well because I had mailed only three people, and
Hmm.
two had accepted. So it works. And like you don't have to worry in this case, because like labs are always welcoming, so they want to take in interns, especially from India. But the thing is, they can't fund you because they
Especially
don't
from
have
India?
sorry.
Why especially from India?
Because Indians show productivity, so Indians show result. That is what I heard my mentor telling, that
Right.
people he worked with always show good results. So
Hmm.
there is some history of people from India doing good in those interns. So
Hmm.
they'll generally be welcoming, but they don't have funding. So if you have something like a DAAD WISE scholarship in your mail, that you're going to apply for it, and you want to, you don't have to get funded, so then they'll gladly accept you. So your chances increase a lot. So, and this coupled with the fact that they have taken interns earlier will strongly increase your chance in getting the approval from the lab.
Hmm.
So, besides that, after that, you have to fill a long SOP, and you have to
Hmm.
fill the forms where you have to highlight. So, you have to select your project and you have to submit it to DAD. So,
Hmm.
that project may not be the final thing you're working on, but you must have a good research proposal. So that is something you have to discuss with your college where you are going to go and get it done. So after all that, so this is a tough part. Then you have to write an SOP. So SOPs are normal, like it is not something very complicated. You have to just write about yourself, what you have done, like why are you the main thing I guess is why are you motivated to work with a professor and the lab, and
Right.
your past achievements will be very very key because they are going to judge you on that. So if you can include this into like a standard SOP, like mine was nothing special. I just wrote everything that I had done, and I got it reviewed by a few people, and they said it was okay. So that is one thing. And after that, I think you are done. Okay. So one important thing about that is there is a Cgpa criteria in this also. So the thing is that it is not predefined that you have to have some Cgpa. So imagine if from your college there are like 100 people applying, so two or three are going to get. So there the Cgpa break off comes. So it is different for different colleges. Like for my college it was 9.3 because those people who applied were always high pointer people. So that is why that was the cutoff. But it depends upon different colleges. And again, it is not that if you don't have a good CGPA, you don't get. I know my own friend who had something like 8.23 and he got a DAAD WISE internship. So again, like your work, your application matters a lot. But
Right.
having a good CGPA is also seen as a huge plus point.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's like a loophole too, which I used in my own case. So there was a professor who used to take, like I saw a professor took IIT Kharagpur students through MITACS. Like he had taken three
Okay.
students, and I saw that he had, and what I did was that MITACS again considered CGPA. So I cold emailed the professor, and I got internship under him. So yeah,
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
a
yeah. So that is also good. Some people do that, but it is a double-edged sword.
no.
Some people outright tell you to just apply for the internships, we'll do a
Right,
selection. Some
right.
people sometimes they don't, but they may like not reply to your mail, which will make you worried.
Okay, I guess it's worth
Yeah,
the risk, right? Okay,
yeah,
no
like
worries.
if you
Yeah,
know that your chances are a bit less, then yeah, why not?
yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so did you have publications out of this stint as well?
Yeah, I had two publications from here. So one was in the calling which you mentioned earlier, one was in a workshop.
Okay,
So we worked on a field called dubbing. Dubbing, like if you people know, is like like you have watched dubbed movies, I guess, right? It's lip
right, right.
synchronous audio visual translation of foreign media into another language. So
Right,
we worked on Spanish to English dubbing. So
that's
that was the thing I worked on, and I'm still associated. I was still for up to some time associated with it. Yeah.
that's nice. So let's jump to the present day scenario, because I guess all of our audience is very curious about working in the industry. So
Yeah.
you are working with Microsoft as a software engineer. How did this
Hmm.
happen?
This was not something that like I expected a lot that I would be doing. So in second year also, like when we had to sit for internships, one of the reasons I avoided was that I did not want to do competitive programming. So again, I used to do it, but yeah, I did not want to do and sit in the internships, even if it was a backup. Uh,
So high
so
CGPA people also have disinterest in competitive programming. That's a relief.
no, okay, it is not true in the people I know, but still, yeah, that was one thing. And yeah, second thing was like I was very sure that I want to pursue a research internship, because if I had got into DAAD WISE or Viterbi or anything, so I would get to go to a foreign country also. So but that got
So,
spoiled because of COVID. Yeah,
okay.
mine
Since
was a
you
remote internship. Yeah.
uh, since you mentioned
So
Viterbi, can you point out a few scholarships apart from DADWISE that taken students?
yeah, so there is Viterbi, there is EPFL, there is MITACS. So MITACS is in for Canada, and so there MITACS's main goal is pairing your profile with the professor's profile. So if your research background aligns with the research background of the professor, you get selected. So I don't like, I think again CGPA is a factor, but this is the main factor. How much your research interest aligns with the professors. Even in
Right,
EPFL, it is the same. But in EPFL and Viterbi, what I feel is that they select from some specified list of colleges.
right.
So to be very frank, they select from the top five IITs, BITS,
Yeah.
Pilani, and top three NITs. It's
Hmm.
always that. And there are other colleges which come. Like there was one senior from my college who got. That is because the field in which he worked was very unique, and that exactly aligned with the field in which there was a professor for Viterbi. So in Viterbi and all, you have a list of professors, and you have to
Hmm.
choose under whom you want to work with.
Right.
So if again interest align, you get it. But usually the interest first preference goes to these colleges which I mentioned earlier. So they are a bit tough to get into because of how less people they take in. EPFL is also something similar. Again, it's highly dependent upon the professor. If
Hmm.
your research area, so make sure you give adequate time to reading about the professors
Hmm.
and their work. Um,
Right.
don't be like you just want to do an application. You like a field and you do. Just look
Hmm.
what are the projects you have done, and just think, okay, whether what I have written would align with the professor whom I'm choosing for. If
Right.
it is a yes, then it's great. Otherwise, you have to rethink on who you are choosing. Yeah.
Hmm. So coming back to the question, all this research experience in ML and AI, and then working as a software engineer in Microsoft.
Yeah. So there were two reasons I decided to sit for placements. So one thing was COVID, of course. So like when in the initial days when I was thinking of preparing for further education. So one of the things which I had a question was how long would the COVID last? So a lot of my seniors said that next year is going to be online. Next year is going to be online. So that was one thing that highly affected because I did not want to do an online masters. A second thing is financial constraints. So masters in US is a very huge financial commitment. So it takes a lot of money. So the I had two ideas: either to earn some amount of money and then go, not be dependent on anyone, or go now taking a huge loan. So I decided the former. So this is not actually necessary. This is a personal decision. So this should not be that great of a motivating factor unless it is actually necessary to motivate you. So this was a personal decision I made. And thirdly, a lot of my seniors suggested that you know have some industry experience when I talk to them. So it's advisable to do a masters if you want to go to PhD immediately, because PhD takes 5 years, master takes 2 years, so 7 years of commitment. So people advise you to go as soon as possible. But yeah, my seniors tell that since my ultimate goal was to converge into industry itself, so having the industry experience and looking into the whole industrial scope can help you a lot into deciding further.
Hmm.
Yeah. So those were all the things that I was thinking about, and I finally decided that yeah, like placements would be, or yeah, working for some time would be a good option for
So
now.
when did you
So
start? When did you start preparing for placements?
so yeah, our placements were in December, and I started in the mid of August, I guess.
Okay.
So to be very clear, I don't recommend starting 3 months before the placements. It becomes really hard. But the key thing with me was I used to do computative programming quite a lot in my first year. So like my fundamentals were quite, I would say, quite good.
Hmm.
So I did not have to start anything from scratch. So if
So
any
what
of
was
you
your?
haven't, sorry.
Yeah, please continue.
So yeah, so if you have not started programming like computative programming or data structures, algorithms, anything, so I would suggest start 6 months before. But this is a general hack. So in practice, what you have to do is the moment you start to code, I would say that start with data structures, algorithms, things like fundamental things about OS networks, etc., DBMS.
Hmm.
Like this will be very helpful in the long run, because even if you go to research, or even if you go to industry, in both
Hmm.
places there will be a point where you have to code, and having good knowledge about data structures, algorithms is going to make your code good. That is
Right.
what I feel. So don't neglect that, because if you want to be like a good programmer, I think these are the fundamentals that you have to know, and every company does this, especially
Right.
the big names, Fang, Microsoft, all those things. They don't care about much about what projects you have done or what you have done. They care about how proper your fundamentals are. So how
Right.
good you are. Yeah, so yeah, that is so be very specific. Even in my interviews also, I got asked fundamental questions of like trees, etc. So they try to see that whether you have that knowledge. So I would say that start doing it in the early stages itself. Don't keep it that okay, I have to do placements, because I
Hmm.
am not telling, like, nobody is suggesting you to be an expert in that or get a very high rating ranking or something. Just
Right.
fundamental knowledge of what these things are will help you a long way. And since
Right.
I did that in first year when my placements came, so I could
Hmm.
like cover up a lot of things in just 3 months. So yeah.
Hmm. So, a cliche question. I have two questions before we start taking questions from the audience.
Mhm.
One would be a cliche question: what is the ideal duration of preparation required to crack a great job?
So yeah, I would say 6 months of. I'm not saying like if you may be a really good person, but from an average perspective, like if
Hmm.
I was trying to start from scratch, I would say at least 6 months of dedicated work would be necessary. Because
Hmm.
in the present day, as you know, the competition has increased dramatically.
Hmm.
So you are not the only one applying. So I think you have to put in effort if you are going for a really, if you want to get into a really good company
Right.
without much tensions and all nearby. So I would say 6 months would be a very great time to gear yourself up and practice coding. Anything more than that is also recommended. I would say that be in touch with your fundamentals and these things like competitive programming. Do it a little bit. Nobody's asking you to do it the whole day. So
Hmm.
if you like it, do it a little bit. If you don't like it, yeah, 6 months of time to prepare is more than sufficient, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Last question from my end would be research versus development. Give me quick differentiating points.
Yeah, it is the same difference between something being stochastic and deterministic.
Okay.
So research, my research side was ML, so I'll be talking about that. So
Hmm.
ML is very stochastic. That is what I had. That is the perspective that I developed over the years. So in ML, you do everything right, but the results may be wrong.
Hmm.
Correct, right? So you train a model properly, you do everything properly, but still you get very bad results. Sometimes you are not able to explain why the model is not behaving the way you want it to. So it
Hmm.
is a lot of hit and trial, etc. But development is not like that. So I'm a software developer. So currently I'm into development a lot. Like I'm working as a developer. So the thing is that you are told about a problem. You have to find where the problem is originating from, and you have to fix
Hmm.
the problem. The fix may be right or wrong. That's all.
Hmm.
So if it's a wrong fix, there is a correct fix. But in ML,
Yeah.
it is not like that. Like research was totally deterministic. uh, Secondly, in development or in industry, I would say specifically, you care about the product, and in research you care about the results. So
Hmm.
in one of my internships, I was working on document like classifications, etc. So they did
Hmm.
not care there about how well the model was. They
Right.
wanted to have a baseline and integrate it with the product and present something, so that
Hmm.
that is usable. Whereas in academia, if I was working on the same topic, people would ask me to improve the results, improve the results, improve the results. So
Right.
again, so academia is more about getting the best results and getting the trying to do something novel or getting the best results. Whereas industry is more about the product.
Hmm.
So you have to do something that it's okay. At the end of the day, it boils down to the product in industry. That is what
Hmm.
I feel from my limited experience in both the fields. Yeah.
Right. Great. That was a lot of input. I guess Pratik, do you want to take up questions from the comment section now? Right.
So, hi everyone. Hello, Shravan. So,
Pratik.
am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you for such a great event on artificial intelligence. And let's jump to Q&A part of the event. I have shortlisted some questions from the comment sections, category wise. First category is what to do and what to not. So, Mansi Sharma and Ankita Datta wants to
Hmm.
ask the importance of DSA in MLA. Basically, the amount of DSA one should practice for a good
Okay.
AI and ML.
So this might seem something different from what is commonly accustomed, but but look, if you want to go into core research, I wouldn't say DSA has that much part in it, because you don't have to know a lot of data structures and algorithms to do, to do ML research. But I would recommend that having some fundamental knowledge about everything, about the programming language as well as data structures, algorithms, is always a plus point, because that will help you make good coding decisions, which is as important, which is a very important part in research also. So you don't want your code to be very redundant, or you don't want repetitive things to make everything slow, or so yeah, data structures are going to help you, having a knowledge about data structures are going to help you a lot. So if you want to go into industry, yes, you need to have a good knowledge of data structures and algorithms. So this is something from my personal experience, as well as experience of some of my seniors who have tried to get into and got into some very good AI companies on research roles. So you, your initial rounds in all those companies are going to be data structures, algorithms, questions related to that, questions related to how a software developer would be asked. Maybe not as difficult as that, but somewhere those questions you will have to face it in some point of time. So even though you have a lot of papers, you are good in research, so if your data structures, algorithms are not that good, then you may be rejected, because in industry, how you code and your fundamentals are also very important, as I told earlier. So I would say that in general, yes, do prepare for do prepare the basics, and do prepare to data structure and algorithm to some extent, and it is going to help you a lot. I hope that.
Yes, that was very informative. So the next question is importance of backend web development for ML. So this is a myth that we have to do backend with machine learning or any other big data field. So is it really necessary?
uh, okay. uh, uh, yes and no. It actually depends upon which job you land upon. So if you are in a role, so some machine learning roles are such that once a model has been created, you have to do deployment. So it is called, the popular term for that is ML ops. So maintaining the ML model, ensuring that the proper API calls can be made, ensuring a proper endpoint. So I think that backend comes a lot into picture, I guess. uh, or if you are in a startup where you assume multidisciplinary roles, so you are an ML engineer and also responsible for creating an API using which you can talk to the ML model, then again backend comes into the picture. So but I think in many places roles are very well defined. So if you're a data scientist, mostly you'll be working with data and models on those type. And particularly I think that if you're a data engineer, then you might need some knowledge of SQL and databases, etc. I think that is also something you can consider as, I don't know, it is not back end, but you can consider it something close, where you want to know about databases and SQL in general. So that is where I think I can think of where backend comes to picture. But generally, roles are very clearly defined. If you have to have knowledge about that role, then that will be mentioned. Whereas in specifically big companies, if you are a machine learning scientist or a researcher, uh, no, I don't think so. You'll be working on training and making a proper model, and not much in the backend side. They'll have developers for that setting. Yeah.
Following the same category, next question is from Isha Bhardwaj. She want to ask connection of cloud and artificial intelligence in case you want to switch from one field to another. Are they
Yeah.
interlinked?
Yeah, cloud and artificial intelligence are extremely interlinked. So if you see, all the AI things which different companies offer, like it may be Microsoft's Azure or AWS or anything. So all are running on cloud. So all your models, whatever has been done, has been deployed in cloud, and it has to be maintained in cloud, and the services have to be provided through cloud. So cloud and AI are actually very related. Uh, so but that being said, cloud is different from AI. I think that is very clear. Um, but enabling cloud to host ML models is a field on its own. and there are groups. So for example, in Microsoft there is a field called C plus AI, which is cloud plus AI. So that is a whole group where they work on AI in cloud or AI on edge. So if you are a cloud person, like if you are into cloud, if you are in the field of cloud, and so there will be some field where you will have to integrate AI in that. You have to make special provisions and resources so that AI is integrated smoothly into cloud and it can be accessible to the users very smoothly. So yeah, so in that way cloud and AI are very closely related. Yeah.
Also, don't you think
Okay.
when it comes to deployment of all the AI models that we are creating, we are heavily dependent on cloud, even
Yeah,
for
currently,
companies?
like if you see all the services, there are so many ML services available. Everything are hosted on cloud, and they have to, as I said, they have to be maintained on cloud. So I think I am not very sure about this, but I think all this comes under your ML ops. A lot of this comes under ML ops. So it is similar to DevOps, but for ML models. So maintaining and integrating the ML models with cloud, etc., comes in that category only, I guess. So yeah, although I don't have, I'm not very sure about this. Yeah.
So let's jump to the next category, important things for artificial intelligence. So this question is from Shishti Dharwani. So do you think master is important for artificial intelligence, and if yes, what is the best time to start preparations for the masters?
So yeah, to be very honest with you, yes, masters is important for artificial intelligence. Um, like a lot of companies that hire people who they want to work in artificial intelligence uh, have a requirement that they must have a master's degree. So I would say that masters is quite important, but not necessary, I guess, because I think Shambhavi is a data scientist, so she is only a BTech. So there are I wouldn't say exceptions. There are some companies which don't require, but in general, if you have an AI ML master's degree, the door to number of opportunities you have increases dramatically. So if I have to talk about Microsoft for data science role, Microsoft has extreme preference for masters people, and same thing with Amazon also. So a lot of a lot of companies have a lot of preference for people who have done their masters. So if you want to go to masters, like there are two options, and like if at the end of the day, like you are very sure that you want to do masters, I would say go for it as soon as your BTech finishes. Or the other route is work for 2 years, look into the industry, get a feel of what you want to do. Like, do you want to pursue in masters? If so, is it data science you want to do? Maybe you change your mind and you go to DevOps or development, because that is more interesting. So look into industry, look into what industry wants from you, and then do masters after 2 years. So
And
those are the two things, I guess.
can I give a quick pointer to this question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, my view would be that if you are up to working with a startup, they really don't care for your master's degree, if you've done your bachelor's or not, even if you've completed. Because mine took me when I was still 6 7 months short of having a degree for bachelor's. All they care about is if you have the right skill, and if you're really confident about your knowledge of the domain, you've done relevant projects, and you're able to solve all the assignments and interview questions they're giving. They won't even delve too much into DSA. They'll just take the brush up of all of it, because on a daily day-to-day level a startup wants you to deliver a product, and if you're sharp with the skills of ML, that serves what they want from you. But to get a higher position like a managerial one, I think masters is preferred, along with some experience of DSA, of a job.
Yeah,
Right.
so in general, keep this pointer that having a master's will open more doors. It will open more doors. You already have doors where you can choose, but if you want an access to a wider door, so I know that companies like Uber, Microsoft, Google, etc., will want a master's degree for you to join them. Startups, like they are multidisciplinary, so they will see your passion, interest, as Shambhavi said. So yeah, but if you are interested in doing masters, then I would say go for it. Yeah.
Right. Right. Thank you. Yeah.
So, would you like to suggest something to our viewers before indulging themselves into artificial intelligence or any field related to this?
like it is a general advice that okay, artificial intelligence maybe is a really great field, but don't get fixated on one thing. So initially people have a lot of tendency that okay, I am doing natural language processing, say I want to continue in that only, like for the rest of my college years. Don't be that person. So diversify yourself. So try out all different things, because in btech nobody expects you to be a master of something, and I don't think anybody should also. So explore as much as possible until you find your calling. So once you find your calling, then I think the question of whether you have to do further studies, whether you want to do what job you want to do, everything will become clear. So keep exploring, and once you get that thing that you are motivated on doing, uh, every morning you wake up, then I think that would be the thing that you would want to do. But leave that for, like, don't think that you have to do it within the first 2 years. Explore for some time, explore, diversify yourself, and then decide okay what you want to do, because life is very long. You don't have to be like an expert by the time you come out of engineering. So you are going to live after that also, so remember that. Yeah.
So, taking um, this forward, this question is from me, aka Pratik Bhardwaj. So, I would like to ask importance of mathematics in artificial intelligence and machine learning. We heard that machine learning is mathematics, but we have various models built on mathematics, and we literally don't need all of that mathematics knowledge. We can just import all the models from TensorFlow, Keras, etc., and use them. So, what is need of mathematics in this?
Yeah. Like this is something that most people ignore, and which even I ignored in AI, that is mathematics. So I believe that mathematics is extremely essential in AI. I wouldn't say that being an expert in mathematics is essential. As I said earlier, fundamental mathematics, which I'm going to tell what are those, are extremely essential when you do AI. So there are two ways of looking into AI. So one is the applied AI, which you initially told, you have TensorFlow models built for you, or you are in you just want to implement something and it is already all the APIs are there for you. And one is theoretical AI, which is like core research into ML, where of course, as you the name suggests, you will need mathematics. Or thirdly, industry AI. So let us differentiate these three. So why I am differentiating applied and industrial is that applied and industrial are almost the same, but applied can be in the research field also. So if you see nowadays papers, so they have models like GPT-3 and they keep publishing it by doing something new on some different task using the same model. So I would categorize that as applied AI. So for applied AI also you need mathematics, some amount of it, because imagine you want to do something new. So you will do some literature survey or something, and this is true for industry also. You are going to do literature survey, and there will be some maths associated there. So if you want to integrate something new, knowing the mathematical consequences of that integration is also necessary. So that is where your math knowledge comes in. So nobody, I wouldn't say that you have to be an expert in mathematics. So having your fundamentals strong, the fundamentals include linear algebra, calculus, probability. So these three things strong, or if you have knowledge in them quite to the bachelor's level also, you'll be able to, like, it won't it the lack of knowledge in maths won't be a blocker to you. Otherwise what will happen is you'll read a paper, or you will be wanting to implement an idea but it won't be working. Or when you read a paper you will see something and you don't know what this term like KL divergence is, and what are the implications of that. So at that time your basic level of maths comes into a lot of picture. So for every but the problem with doing maths with ML is that people won't continue ML if they do maths. So if I tell you that read Christopher Bishop, or do statistical machine learning, instead of those are two books, instead of doing Andrew Ng, I think by the time you finish 30-40 pages you are going to like give up, many of you. That is what happened to me also, though. I tried Christopher Bishop in first year and I was like, after 20-25 pages, too much knowledge. First I'll go with Andrew Ng for now. So yeah, so initially if you tell people to do that, I don't think they'll stay for a long time. But somewhere down the line, when you are comfortable with your basics, like you can code ML, I would say, like, go into the strengthen your maths part, the things which I mentioned earlier, as well as see to it that you read these books. You may not be able to know each and every aspect of it, but try to read them, try to like understand, because once you know a concept and you read a paper and you understand it because you have read it, the motivation is going to increase tenfolds. So that is why I am saying that make your fundamentals strong. That is what, yeah, I
But
think that is where maths will come. Yeah.
can I conclude that when you're getting started, don't touch maths, but once you're convinced that AI is of your interest, then try to selling it thoda for the sake of your interest with maths.
No, I don't think it will be like selling it, because like theoretical ML is really interesting. It is really frustrating in the beginning, but once you get it, like if you're interested in problem solving, you'll find it very fascinating, because if you go into especially fields like RL, where there is a lot of cool things happening, and you understand that all these are because of a few equations, and you understand those equations. So your motivation, this especially works for me, your motivation to pursue that is going to increase like a lot. Because now not only you know that it is RL, but you also understand why that behavior is happening, and that is true
Hmm.
in every field, I guess.
Right.
But in general, if you are doing research on some topic, you will be able to figure out math. So you can
Right.
read about that, because today we have, in present days, we have thousands of materials available. So
Right.
you do some online research, you do that. Is why I'm suggesting that when you're doing ML and AI, do these basic things like algebra, linear algebra, probability. These are going to take you a long way forward when you actually get into some really cool stuff in the future. Yeah.
Okay, so next question is by Yash Raj, and he want to ask about the problem faced by a student while moving to a new country for studies, and any suggestions.
Yeah, I don't think I would be the good person to handle it. Because
Your dad
first
wise
thing,
was remote.
huh?
So,
Your dad wise was
Yeah, yeah,
remote. Okay. Okay.
yeah. My
Sorry.
dad wise was remote, and I missed an opportunity to go to for the Germany also. But like a lot of my friends have gone. So if there will be some problem, like I can say my experience pre going to dad wise. So one thing is getting a room. So it will be a bit difficult to you have to contact a lot of people like who are also going there, and to like shared, because they're very expensive. uh, yeah, going to room and food, I think, is the biggest constant. So if you're a vegetarian, I was a vegetarian, and I thought I ought to make a lot of compromises there, because yeah. So but yeah, those things will be will be the biggest problem, challenges, I guess. But I think universities are generally really accommodating. So I don't think once you reach there, you'll face a lot of problem. But I'm not the great person to discuss on that. Yeah.
okay, so now this is a question of worry because Akshat Sharma want to ask, is it true that machine learning and data science field is going to disappear soon? And where do you
No.
think future of artificial intelligence in next few years? Actually, there are many YouTube videos and articles that many people say that don't get yourself indulged into artificial intelligence or machine learning because the field is getting to disappear soon. So
No,
there is
machine learning and AI will not disappear. I don't see it disappearing for quite a long, long time. I think even after I am not there, also it is going to be there. But I think the reason for many people telling that is, if you see today and if you Google just ML, like there are so many things coming up. And if you see everybody, if you go to LinkedIn and see, everybody is like a machine learning enthusiast, which is really good. So a lot of people are into machine learning. um, and the question is there enough opportunities available for a particular person if you're doing machine learning? But for now, I would tell it is really safe, because data science is still very booming. So so there are new things coming up like autonomous cars, edge, and we are not even at the peak of data collection. So it is going to, like, we are collecting more and more data every year. So that means that there is going to be a need of more and more people. So I feel that in general, machine learning is not going to die. It is just starting to boom now. It started to boom in 2012. Nothing dies so early. So even if it dies, I think, I don't know what justifications they are giving. There may be something like a AI winter, But from the current advances and developments, I don't see that also happening, because if you see, AI has really transformed everything. So before, which was everything which was manual labor, now is done by AI. So the entire Wall Street is handled by a lot of AI bots. So I would say that no, the jobs in AI are not going to end. And I think for now you can be a bit safe, but I would say that the competition is going to increase, because a lot of people are, going into, like, if you had seen like 4 or 5 years ago, nobody did this a lot. But if you see now that literally everybody starts, I see my first year juniors working with BERT and all, and I'm like, like I don't even do that much. So I'm like, okay, like they can do BERT and all in their first year itself. So not only the scope of AI, but the amount of resources also have increased. So no, it is not going to die, and it is a really great field if you want to get into. uh, Really interesting one also, yeah.
Right. And
And as for the
continuing.
next question, what is the future of AI? Like I would say, language is something that is very hot right now. So it is very tough problem as well as really hot. Edge and cloud are really hot. So there is something called as edge, where it is not cloud, it is not, it is somewhere near your device. So that is really, if you want, like I don't want to discuss this a lot, but if you want, just look into edge computing and AI. So a lot of people are, gearing their ML models to be to such that it can work on the edge. um, and third thing is in
Topics.
cryptography.
Hmm. Hmm.
So machine learning is cryptography is booming, because there are like millions of new threats coming every day, and
Hmm.
literally everybody's every antivirus you may have, like
Hmm.
maybe it be Microsoft Defender or anything, it's like completely ML models. So
Hmm.
you have various type of ML models. So ML and cryptography are also something which is quite emerging nowadays.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And in
uh,
relation with edge thing, there's this new, not really new, domain called federated learning coming up. So maybe you guys
yeah,
can check the video on the channel. It is there in the playlist. You can go and check. So this was a promotion, but no, I didn't actually intend to do
yeah,
that.
just go for the edge. So just research about edge a bit.
Hmm.
It is currently like one of the hottest things happening,
Right.
like I can, yeah, happening nowadays in industry, yeah.
Yeah.
So now, the last question from my side. Um, Actually, there are two questions. One is from Arvind Agarwal. He want to ask, in internship versus research, which one is more good when it comes to AI? And then Ankita Datta, she has a doubt. She want to ask, what would be your suggestions to progress who has about 3 years of industry experience and is starting masters in CSE? I have no prior research experience but would like to explore research in artificial intelligence.
Okay, I'll take the first question. I think the first question was research versus industry. So that actually depends upon your goal in the future. So I would say that research in the initial days is going to give you I felt that, research gives you more freedom, so that you can choose your own topic, you can work on that own topic, you can get your own results. So if you get somewhere good, research is really good. Industry gives you exposure to product, and how things industry is more about delivering AI to the people. So that is going to give you exposure on that. Now, depending upon your goal. So if you want to converge into industry, having an internship in the industry may be helpful to you. But in general, I don't think that is going to matter that much. So even if you do research in a good research lab and publish something novel, or come up with something new, it is going to have as much significance as you working in a good industry and working on like a good product. So in the end, I think in your bachelor's, if you are a bachelor, I don't think there is that much of a trade off in doing that, in doing both. Because I know people who did an industry research internship and ended up in really good companies for an ML role. And I know people who did research, like core research, and also ended up in good companies. So I wouldn't say that if anyone is better. So look into the thing that what you want to do in the future. So if you want to join a company, I think having some industry experience will be helpful. But if you want to do masters, etc., I would recommend doing research in some lab, because the advantage of that is you can get letter of recommendation. Plus, writing about your prior research experience is something positive in your master's experience application. So yeah, it
even
actually boils down at the end to what you want to do. Yeah.
even big MNCs also have the research part, right? Just like Google also have
Yeah.
the researchers.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, again,
uh,
you have to judge on that. Yeah, like if you feel that the company is really good and you are going to get a really nice job to do there, then go for it. Don't think about anything. Don't think much about anything else, because at the end, I don't think it is going to be that much of a big deal whether you did research or whether you did industrial internship in a good company with some good work being a result of that. So yeah, but do something. Yeah, doing something is more important. Having hands-on approach, having practical approach, like practical work is more important than anything else. Yeah.
okay, so that's it from
Okay.
my side.
I think there was one more question, right, where
Yeah, there was
someone asked.
yeah.
Ankita Datta, she want to ask, let me repeat the question. What would be your suggestion to progress who has about 3 year of industry experience and is started masters in CSE? I have no research experience but would like to explore research in artificial intelligence.
So firstly, like if you have three, again, I won't be the best person to answer about that, I guess. So I don't have 3 years of experience is really great. But yeah, I would say that you don't like yeah, again, I would not be the best person to answer this. Mostly I would
And
say,
it's
if you
with
have want to explore artificial intelligence, go for it. Like, and if you're interested in it, just go for it. But
right.
again, it depends upon which background are you from, what interest are you there. But usually people do masters after some job to get a break, explore something new, and then restart your career. So if you have 3 years of experience and you're doing masters, I think exploring something new that you hadn't done before will be a bit refreshing, as well as a field like a machine learning, which has a lot of scope. Pursuing that is going to be a plus point itself. It is not going to be negative. So I would
Right.
say, like, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Ankita, like I have seen a lot of people who have worked for almost 2 to 3 years in the companies like Cognizant and many others, and then have switched to AI using a master's. Like they did a master's first in AI and then ended up doing a job in AI. Right. Okay, that was a lot of knowledge exchange with you, Shravan, and a great
Yeah.
session. We got to learn about so many new things, and you almost covered all the pain points I had throughout my bachelor's due to not having enough research exposure. Sorry. Yeah, so it was a great experience having you with us. Thank you so much, Shravan. And yeah, we
Yeah.
do look forward to hearing more about great stuff from you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot, and I hope I was able to clear some questions in people's mind. So if you guys have any other doubts, then you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Yes,
Right,
yeah. I am like available like most of the times, and
right,
you can ask your doubts, and I'll try my best to clear them. Yeah.
right.